Today we're going to start reading the creation story. In the beginning, before time began, there was nothing. Nothing to see and nothing to hear, nothing to touch and nothing to smell. There was only silence, quiet, and God moved alone through the inky darkness. Then on the first day, God created the heavens and the earth was covered by water. "Let there be light," said God. At first the light was faint. It was a flicker in the darkness that grew brighter and stronger, and it became a glowing ball that pushed all the gloom aside. It was soft and yellow, then red, pink, and a dazzling gold. God delighted in its loveliness. The changing light seemed to have a life of its own, and God called it day. When the light faded into darkness, he named it night, and it was the very first day of the world. On the second day, when the light came back, God made the sky. It was soft, bright blue, and it hung over the earth like a canopy. On the third day of the world, God pulled back the choppy waters so that the solid ground beneath appeared. And he named the great pools of water, which were blue like the sky and the shimmering in the light, the seas. He called the big muddy areas around land. And the land was flat and bare, so God shaped it into mountains and plains and deep valleys. Soon, under his guiding hand, greenery covered the earth. Grasses and plants of every size, shape, and color began to grow, and the sweet-smelling flowers blossomed. The sticky buds opened and vines wound into the air. Trees sprang from the ground, their branches reaching for the sky, growing tall and heavy with fruit. The earth had become lush, green, and overflowing with plant life. On the fourth day, God said, "Let there be signs to mark the day and night." And he made the fiery sun to show the day and the gentle moon to shine at night. During the day, the moon hid in the shadows, and at night, the sun turned its golden face away, while the moon cast its silvery beams over the land. God also brightened the night sky with millions and millions of tiny glittering stars, and he felt pleased with the beautiful world he had created. God's new world was peaceful and filled with flowers, trees, and rushing rivers. But there were no birds to perch in the trees. There were no bees to buzz from flower to flower, and no fish to leap through the waters. The only sounds were the whisper of the wind among the leaves and the waves lapping the shore. So on the fifth day, God filled the sea with living creatures, and suddenly it was swimming with fish that moved as one. He made the whales that sprayed water high up into the sky, and dolphins that leaped playfully in and out of the waves. He made jellyfish that shimmered like moonlight, and shellfish that sparkled like precious stones, and tiny crabs that waved their claws on the golden sands. Then God said, Let there be creatures of the air that will fill the sky with life. And suddenly there was a great fluttering of feathers and flapping of wings, as birds and insects of all shapes and sizes rose into the sky. Tiny hummingbirds mingled with colorful parakeets, silent gliding hawks. The sky was alive with color and sound, as the twittering birds found shelter among the trees and bushes. They busied themselves discovering the sweet fruit and washing their feathers in the cool streams. Their happy songs filled God's ears, and He blessed them. On the 6th day of the world, God said, "Now let there be creatures on the land." And the earth began to shake with the thunder of 1,000 feet. And the world hummed with voices large and small, all trying to be heard. Regal lions plowed beside mighty elephants and rhinos. Monkeys swung through the trees, cackling each other, and snakes rustled through the undergrowth. Fierce animals paced side by side with the gentlest of God's creatures. Everyone from the tiny shrews to the tall giraffes was looking for a new home. Some liked the cool of the snowy mountains, and some preferred the heat and the rainforests. Cheetahs raced into the jungle, crocodiles hid in the rivers, while squirrels climbed tall trees, and the world pulsed with life. And God looked around and was happy with what he saw, but something was missing. Who will care for all the animals? God asked himself. So he took handfuls of earth and shaped 2 creatures who looked like him. He called them man and woman, and God poured his breath into them, and the man and the woman began to move. They opened their eyes and stared around in wonder. They slowly stretched their arms and legs, and they rose to their feet. They stood in front of God holding hands, as beautiful and innocent as the new world. God blessed them and named the man Adam, and the woman he named Eve. "Your job is to look after the wonders I have created," he said. "You will rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and every creature on earth. You will have fruit to eat and water to drink. I want you to enjoy life here." And God's work was done, and the world was every bit as beautiful as he had imagined it. And it was the 7th day, and God rested. Next, God made a beautiful garden for Adam and Eve, and he named this garden Eden. And there were flowers and trees full of delicious fruit to eat, and a velvet, soft grass to lie on. A sparkling stream gave Adam and Eve clean water to drink. And there was a huge tree in the middle of the garden. Its branches reached into the sky like upstretched arms, and God named it the tree of knowledge. You can pick fruit from any tree in the garden, except the tree of knowledge, he told Adam and Eve. If you eat from the tree, you will die. And Adam and Eve listened to everything God said. They had all that they needed as they were happy. They cared for the animals and the garden just as God had told them. But one day, Eve was picking berries near the tree of knowledge when she heard rustling in the leaves of a tree. A snake was watching her. And its tongue flicking in and out. "Smell the sweet fruit," the snake hissed. "Try it, taste it." "No," Eve replied. "God has told us we must not eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge, or we will die." The snake shook its head. "It would make you twice as God," it said. "Just one bite would make you a goddess." And the snake's words made Eve long to try it. Slowly she picked a rosy apple and drew it toward her. It smelled so sweet and delicious. Her heart thumped with fear and excitement. Eve could not resist, so she took a tiny bit of the apple. Adam saw her, and although he knew that it was wrong, he burned with curiosity. So Eve handed him the apple, and he tried it. Smiling, the snake slithered away. God knew once what Adam and Eve had done. He was upset and angry. "You must leave Eden," he told them. "From now on, the lives of humankind will be full of trouble and worry. Now that you have eaten from the tree of knowledge, your bodies will eventually die. But I will find a way to save you," God said. And Adam and Eve shivered as the gates of Eden changed and shut behind them. Greed had taken them from a place of gentle breezes to a cruel world where the wind blew and the rain soaked their bodies. But God, who loves his people, gave Adam and Eve something very special. He gave them hope. Perhaps one day, he told them, humankind might yet return to the beautiful Garden of Eden and to the love of God.